from inaudible pressure waves that turbines emit. Thus, the question has been raised whether infrasound waves produced by wind turbines are harmful on human beings. In a February 2018 peer-reviewed study published in the Thoracic and Cardiovascular Surgeon, low decibel infrasound was positively correlated with decreased myocardial contractibility. I quote from the study, infrasound can induce direct effects on human myocardium, that is heart cells. This study was conducted with both 10 Hz and 20 Hz low-level infrasound. I quote from this study, no sound was heard during the experiments. After stopping infrasound, the contractile force did not return to the myocardium, that is the heart cell's initial levels. In this research study, sound was applied for only 1 minute. Imagine the results had the cells been exposed 24/7, 365 days a year, the chronic infrasound pressure that turbines emit. The study further concludes, and I quote again, our experimental data indicates that direct effects on myocardial tissue are present. Humans have no chance to protect themselves from the silent noise of infrasound. There is no conflict of interest declared by the author. Infrasound is not being addressed in these ordinances, and I believe they need to be. In other words, just because one cannot hear noise does not mean there is no long-term harmful effects from the inaudible pressure waves that turbines emit.
You're in your last 30 seconds.
Okay.
Summarize.
The infrasound waves induce pressure on human tissues that create a physiological response that includes but is not limited to cell wall thickening. This thickening has been noted in lung tissues, heart pericardium, and blood vessel walls. The result is an increased risk of myocardial infarction, chronic bronchitis, and neurological changes, to name but a few. This Crown Bridge permit does not meet the Codington County ordinances, and I ask the board to deny it for the sake of public health and safety. And I will leave you with study abstract.
Okay, Tracy, we didn't get your last name.
Rosenberg.
Rosenberg?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Jeanette Mack? No. Allison Birnbaum? Okay. Matt Whitney? Okay. Al Robick?
Cranbrook, South Dakota. Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address this section of 1.0103 of the Codington County Ordinance 65 in regards to safety. The safety issue I'm deeply concerned with is my personal experience with a wind turbine blowing chunks of ice. It happened in February of 2018 on Highway 59 south of Barrett, Minnesota. I haul melt to Ferrum, Minnesota, and drive by a field with 10 turbines operating. One threw ice over a tree grove and a house onto the highway ahead of me. When the ice hit the highway, the chunks shattered in many pieces. I stopped in Barrett at the convenience store for coffee and mentioned what just happened and that I had never seen that happen before. The store clerk said it happens sometimes. At a later date, I borrowed a digital rangefinder to measure the distance from the turbine to the middle of the highway. It is 520 yards. There were also 2 other incidents in Fremont County, Minnesota, of ice floes hitting a semi-trailer and a farmer's stock trailer. I've also got a picture of a warning sign that a wind farm has put up, and they put warning, do not pass this point for safety. Ice and other heavy objects can be thrown long distance from wind turbine towers at high velocity and can kill. They give the emergency number Brookfield, this was in Massachusetts, so that's how people are aware of what happens. My second concern is who's going to be held responsible for any damage, injury, or loss of life as a result of these 449-foot rotary diameter blades towing ice. It is the developer for the siting of them, or the company that buys them, or is it the landowner who might be paying them? If ice is thrown from just one blade and not the other two, the massive vibration it creates can cause other damage, maybe a broken blade or even damage to the tower. The South Dakota PUC agrees that turbines could be imbalanced but create vibration due to the ice accumulation. I want to know what safety manual from GE has recommended for a safety zone around these large turbines. Is GE responsible, or is it Crown Ridge, NextEra, Codington County, or the landowner? Farmers Insurance has 25 pages listing the liabilities for landowners with turbines on their property. My third issue is the broken blades. I talked to a milk producer by Henry, Minnesota about living with wind turbines. He informed me there were 2 turbines he knew of that lost blades, and he has shadow flicker at his house. In conclusion, my question is, where is the safety manual? And I'm asking the board to deny the Crown Ridge permit. It does not meet Codington County ordinance regarding safety. And thank you.
Thank you. Wade Bauer?
No. No.
Nothing? Okay. Melissa Lynch?
Hello, my name is Melissa Lynch, and I live in Roswell Township. I have 2 concerns with the application that's in front of us today, as it relates to your ordinances. So we've talked about this Codington County zoning ordinance number 65, and again, it states that your job is to it's adopted to protect and promote, among other things, public health. So the World Health Organization guidelines for community noise recommend less than 30 A-rated decibels in bedrooms during the night for a sleep of good quality. The World Health Organization guidelines for night noise recommend less than 40 dBA of annual average outside of bedrooms to prevent adverse health effects from night noise. According to the reports submitted by NextEra with this permit application, my residents and all non-participating properties will be affected at a noise level greater than 30 dBA. So again, greater than dBA levels recommended as safe by the World Health Organization for good quality sleep. I find this completely unacceptable. Approving this permit will cause harmful effects to the health of my family related to sleep disturbance, and approving this permit is in direct conflict with the Codington County zoning ordinance 65 for that reason. There's also the county ordinance 68 wind energy systems that allows for a maximum of 50 dBA at a non-participant's property line. And I also note that the Codington County comprehensive plan states that there's max noise levels that are established. Nowhere in the conditional use permit application is there reference to or consideration of noise levels during the construction and decommissioning phases of the proposed project. A company cannot pick and choose when the ordinance has to be followed. It needs to be adhered to at all times. It will be impossible for this company to construct and or decommission a wind turbine in adherence to the ordinance 68 and the Codington County comprehensive plan. For this reason, the permit needs to be denied. Are there any questions? I guess the one question that I'll have is there's a lot of talk about noise levels in the wind energy system ordinance. But it doesn't say who's monitoring the noise levels and what the process is. So if I have a concern with the noise level, who am I calling? What's the process for it to be checked? Whose responsibility is that? And since I have 30 seconds left, I will fill my time by saying that I bought my property out in the Rockville Township 2 years ago. When we were searching for our property, we specifically avoided areas that had wind turbines built in them. When we were searching online, if we saw a picture of a property and in the back we saw a wind turbine, we immediately stopped looking at that property. And when we purchased this property, there was no word of any wind turbines in the area, and we purchased it thinking that we were safe from wind turbines. And it's very disappointing that they're now planning on building them next to my house. So for all those reasons, I ask that you please deny this permit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa.
Emily Mack.
Hello, I'm Emily Mack, and I live in Cransford Township. I'm here to talk about the Codington County zoning ordinance, section 113, that states the zoning ordinance is adopted to protect and promote, among other things, prosperity. I'm concerned that our rural communities at risk. My husband and I, and our small children, planned on building near Waverly, where I grew up. I do not want to live in a wind project. I know that the wind projects in our community will cause young families to move. They will bring their children elsewhere, and young families will avoid moving into these areas. The Crown Ridge project stretches from south of Waverly all the way north of South Shore. So families that are out in the Waverly South Shore area will move out and no one will move in. It seems to me that there won't be many children left to be going to the new Waverly South Shore School. The World Health Organization recommends less than 35 dBA in classrooms to allow good teaching and learning conditions. The 5 wind turbines that are projected to stand 1 mile from the school, and according to the sound pressure report, it will be 35 to 40 dBA hitting the Waverly South Shore School. That is more than the World Health Organization recommends for proper learning conditions. If parents knew this, would they send their children to the Waverly South Shore School? I will not. Approving this permit will result in a disruption to the prosperity and growth of our community by creating an environment that young families do not want to raise their children. Approving this permit is in direct conflict with Codington County zoning ordinance 65. I ask you please deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Erica Fox. Okay. Ken Rody. No. Okay. James Stevens.
I'm Dave Stevens, I live in Park County, and we just had the Parker Wind Farm approved by the PUC to build 120 towers in our area. When the project came to the county commissioners, it was 220, or about 220, right at that. We wanted a bigger setback, and the people of Parker Wind Farm said they couldn't possibly do the project if their numbers, if we had a mile setback, it would reduce it, it wouldn't make it feasible for them to do the project. Today, we were at a meeting for road haul agreements, and they are building 70 towers in the first phase of this project, and they're not complaining about it. They scaled down to 120 from 220, and they're fine. They're, they're going to get their 400 megawatts of power if they build all of the 120. So there's no reason that setbacks cannot be more than 800 feet. Ours was 1,000 feet in Clark County. Our commissioners were brave enough, strong enough, and wise enough to go to the wind towers that are in our area. They went there, they sat there, they studied, they did their homework on the computers. They realized that 2,000 feet wasn't enough in Clark County for the Oak Tree wind towers, and they passed not an ordinance. Our read 1,000 feet was what the zoning was. But ours went with 3/4 of a mile, and that's what we have. Fortunately, when the PUC passed this permit for Cracker Wind Farm, we at least can go home and know that the towers will be 3/4 of a mile. These people, at best, are 1,500 feet. That is not enough. All of the studies that these wind tower companies throw at you and use in their applications are produced at wind companies' direction and from their money. There are very, very few studies that are done independently of wind companies, and they are very biased. So you need to remember that. You're going to have towers all over the eastern part of South Dakota. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. But it needs to give these people a reasonable setback. And 1,500 feet is not a reasonable setback. Our people, our county commissioners had a case by Geronimo thrown against them because they didn't like this variance on 1,000 feet. The Carmen Dean's judge, in a partial summary judgment, said the commissioners have a right to represent and protect their people. And it never went any farther than that. They dropped the case.
During your last 30 seconds, you want something?
Think about what you're doing to the people.
Okay, thank you.
Chad Stevens? Okay. Mark Crouch? Okay. Kevin Crane? Okay. Linda Lindgren?
My name is Linda Lindgren, and I'm from South Shore. Wind power has too big of a carbon footprint. Industrial wind turbines are giant lightning rods across the prairie. How many VOC, volatile organic compounds, and HAPs, hazardous air pollutants, will be put into the air we breathe when the turbine catches on fire? What are the risks of fire to our crops, prairie grasslands, and homes? The only justification for wind power is the claim that it reduces CO2 emissions in the electricity sector. This is a lie. What is the cradle-to-grave carbon footprint of a wind turbine with 45 tons of rebar in the base and 481 cubic meters of concrete, 241.85 tons of CO2. What are the environmental impacts, like soil erosion, soil compaction, excessive air particulates because of additional roads. That does not include the mining of raw materials or the transportation of getting the wind turbine parts to the building site. A 2-megawatt wind turbine contains 260 tons of steel, requiring 170 tons of coking coal and 300 tons of iron ore, all mined, transported, and produced by hydrocarbon spewing processes and machines. A wind turbine could spin until it falls apart and never generate as much energy as was used to build it. 2 megawatts of wind power capacity requires 1.5 acres of farmland. This is not a good fit for our rural land. Please deny the Crown Ridge conditional use permit. It is a detriment to public health, safety, and welfare. I also have an article about broken wind blades creating a mountainous waste problem. These are not recyclable. And a picture of a wind turbine on fire. Irony, an oil leak from a clean, green wind turbine. And a page,
Straight second.
yep, a page listing the amounts of steel and coking coal taking to make each turbine, and it is a burnt one. And I am handing this exhibit 2 in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Lindgren.
I'm Tim Lindgren. I live in the South Shore Waverly area. Please deny the Crown Ridge conditional use permit. This application does not foster harmonious, convenient working relationship among land uses per section 1.01.03 of the Codington County Ordinance. Issues with the wind lease agreements. 4.2 access right. No mention of notice or time of day of access. No reason for this access must be given. No conditions such as money, fields, etc. must be considered. 5.1 wind obstruction easement. Owners shall not engage in any activity on owner's property that might interfere with wind speed or wind direction. Basically, anything you want to do is subject to operator's approval. 5.2, effects easement. Owner grants to operator a non-exclusive agreement for audio-visual view, light, flicker, noise, shadow, vibration, air turbulence, wake, electrical and radio frequency interference, and any other effects attributable to the wind farm or activity located on the owner's property or on an adjacent property over and across the owner's property. Owner loses his right to complain or sue over effects of wind turbines or any activity of the operator. 6.2, termination by operator. Operator at its option shall have the right to terminate this agreement at any time during the term of the agreement as to all or any part of the operator property, so that owners could be left with no income after putting up with the installation. Can't count on the future income. financial part of the contract is not a part of public record. 13.1, right to mortgage. Operator may mortgage its interest in the operator property. If the operator goes bankrupt, it could an owner lose his property. And 14, assignment and the sublease. Operator shall have the right, without owner's consent, to sell, convey, lease, grant an easement, or assign all or any portion of the operator property. Owner has no control over who they are dealing with. The only wind lease agreement that we sign that is a public record is a memorandum of leases and easements. We were told that we would make a lot of money. No mention of the negative effects were made. Also, there was no guarantee of income from the wind turbines. No guarantee was given that we were given the best possible offer of money. No financial
Shake
parts.
it if you want to summarize.
Yeah. It basically says that it's basically a one-sided contract, and wind developer, if they go bankrupt, they could be mortgaged to their credit. A property could be mortgaged to their credit.
Okay.
Also submitting a copy of it.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the list. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience?
Joe Jansen, go for it.
My name is Joe Jansen. I live 8 miles north of Park, South Dakota, right in the heart of the Tucker Wind Farm. Phase 2. I'm 72 years old. I've been in agriculture my whole life, one way or another. I know I've learned more about wind towers than I care to. First experience in wind towers was when I retired and we spent our winters in Wilson County, Texas. A little town called Fort Mansfield had no wind towers. First year we were there, they put up 250 of them. Next year, another 250, and last year they put up 300, so we got 800 right out the back door. The first thing that disturbed me was as I drove to the next town through the wind farms, there were people that had homes like mine along the highways, and King Ranch owned all the land where the towers were in. They could put them 1,000 feet from their houses. Well, it didn't take long. The local paper was full of people who were suing Duke Energy who put them there, saying that they couldn't live in their house, couldn't open up their windows because of the noise, no wildlife around anymore. So a lot of them tried to sell their house. They couldn't live there. They tried to sell them, nobody wanted to buy them. I got pictures, if anybody, I'm going to leave my card over here, pictures of what's left of those houses. There's a cement slab there and the trees that were around their houses because they had to tear their own houses out. They had no alternative. They couldn't live there, they couldn't sell them, they didn't want to pay taxes on them anymore. So they literally had to tear them out. They tried to sue Duke. Okay, that was very disturbing. The other thing I learned last year was decommissioning. And I really got involved in that. But they found out that when some of these developers move out and they leave these towers, they have to be brought down. The first thing they have to do is bring in the same equipment that they did put them out, which is very expensive. And then the developers told them, well, there's a lot of money in recycling. To tell the truth, when they cut down the steel towers, the labor and cut them down and haul them into the recycling was a break even. Then they told them there's brass up in all brass wire, where there is. But they found out that has to be hand stripped. That was a lose. They hand stripped them, they actually lost money on them. Next thing, they have the blades, they can't be recycled. They have to be cut up and hauled to landfill. And then there was the cement in the ground. They shaved them down, put dirt in there, tried to farm over them. They don't do corn beans there, they use sorghum and cotton. But because